Welcome to It Has Been 7 Minutes, the video series in which I take 7-minute chunks of the show Hazbin Hotel, analyze them, and indulge you with related trivia knowledge you never knew you wanted to have. Like, for example, that there is academic discourse about Adam's junk. This is part 2, which means today we'll be looking at the middle chunk of episode 1. And now, happy watching! We'll begin this episode with an excited-looking angel and end with an excited-looking angel. Last time we left off as Angel partook in some flirting with an unresponsive husk, even though he found it to be kinky. In Japanese here he says hentai. This is a bit of foretaste for what's yet to come. Peggy tells Angel to let Husk do his job, even though with 5 other people around he probably hasn't much of a job to do most of the time. She also specifies that you need to stay here at your own accord for redemption to work. Angel still finds the whole idea stupid, even though he is the first guest willingly staying here. And that's not surprising, since no one ever made it out of hell before. Becky still believes in her girlfriend's vision, though. Angel replies with, "Hey, whatever means I can crash here rent-free. Crack is expensive." Huh, really? Well, kids, let's make an excursion to the wonderful world of drugs. It's not that crack in relation to other drugs in itself is that expensive. What makes it expensive for the one taking it is more due to how it works. Crack is a concoction made of cocaine salt and sodium bicarbonate, and its degree of purity is way higher than that of cocaine. It works similar to normal coke, but on steroids. The high is short, about 5 to 15 minutes, and the crash afterwards is hard, which is why users are incentivized to take a lot of it, and that's the reason it'll end up being very expensive. Angel took his bad habit of taking drugs with him to hell, since he died in 1947 because of an overdose. When asked on what drug he overdosed, Vivsy said her idea would be that it's either angel dust, the drug he's named after, or cocaine. Well, I'm happy to announce that I can conclusively answer that question. Angel dust or PCP or phencyclidine or phenylcyclohexylpiperidine was discovered in the 20s by German chemists. Because we Germans do everything in our power to forever be the evil crazy scientists in all of media. But it wasn't until 1956 that it was launched as an anesthetic for animals, and soon also for humans. As a recreational drug, it first emerged at a rock concert in 1967, 20 years after Angel died. Cocaine, on the other hand, was already a commonly used drug in the later half of the 19th century, ever since the substance was extracted from the coca leaf by a German chemist. Additionally, as a drug, angel dust sucks. And I don't mean it sucks in the way that it immediately fucks up your life like crack does, no. A PCP trip is described as the coldest, most nervous, most uneuphoric one ever. And experiencing panic and horror trips is way more common than experiencing euphoria. Maybe it's presumptuous of me, but I always thought the goal of taking drugs is to feel good. The good news is that there is no physical addiction and therefore no withdrawal effects. And very seldom is it psychologically addictive, just because of how bad the trip on PCP often is. Congratulations, Angel! You're named after the most unfun drug ever. Despite the nervousness Charlie showed in the last part about her dad calling, now she's overjoyed with what comes of it. She initiates her revenge on Vaggie for startling her earlier by startling her right back. With an adorable face, she waves for her partner to come over and, accompanied by noises of boing, 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 explains the good news. The Angels leader wants to have a meeting and her father asks her to go instead. Immediately, Charlie is fire, and as she bursts into the show's first song, we can see into the first floor's hallway and new lamps. It's lamps looking like circus tents, and their noise. I would buy them. Starting a counter now. Things Gwenny would buy. 1. This lamp. Charlie starts her solo with, "I can do this, somehow I know it. I'll get heaven behind my plans." Doing this, she waves in front of the sunlight pouring through the windows into the lobby, which represents heaven. In the background, we see the gallery surrounding the lobby. We have stained glass windows showing snakes and apples, and we can see a part of what looks like a glass dome on the ceiling. What confuses me is that this makes the second floor factually unusable. And yes, this is inside. To juggle your memory, this is how the entrance looks like from the outside. There are 2 small circus tents as canopies, but this huge-ass dome is inside the hotel, spanning over the entire lobby. Lucy wanted to waste the maximum amount of space possible, and so it was done. Charlie is already thinking about how she can use this meeting to her advantage, and doesn't stop to wonder why this meeting has been scheduled in the first place. That's Vaggy's job. She's the voice of reason in this relationship. The one to ground Charlie when her enthusiasm gets out of control. Though in this instance she's not quite able to, as Charlie dances across the lobby in front of our dramatis personae. Alistair just smiles creepily as he does. Angel smiles too because Charlie seems to amuse him. Kiki floats. She's not walking on air, she's more lounging on air. Husk shows a face that says, "God, those people." And Nifty looks curious. Charlie is determined to touch their hearts or whatever angels have. Why would she think angels had anything other than a normal anatomy? Her father is an angel. She is technically half angel and I assume is aware of her own heartbeat. So where does that thought even come from? I always found this line very weird. Vaggy states her concern with, "This could be bad," but Charlie counters with, "This could be swell." Who says swell? Or did you just need something to rhyme with Happy Day in Hell, which is the name of this song? Vaggy gives one last piece of advice that Charlie should at least not be singing about this on the streets, but it's already too late. The gang, except Husk because he's already too done with his shit, looks on. On the left side of the shot there's a sign apparently directing us to tickets. Tickets to what? We don't know, probably to the circus, even though this building isn't a circus tent. But for the first few hundred years of their existence, circuses were attractions taking place in normal buildings. The tent only took over around 1900. Angel happily confirms Vaggy's fear that, oh yeah, Charlie is dancing, and behind him we are able to look down to the city, because the Hazbin Hotel is located slightly raised on a hill. On the horizon there are spiky mountains enclosing the city, which leads me to believe it is situated in a basin. The confirmation that Charlie is indeed singing means we can conclude that this song is diegetic. In musical theatre, the songs are either diegetic or non-diegetic. Diegesis describes everything that takes place within the narrative universe, so when a song is non-diegetic, it's usually a representation of an inner monologue or a dialogue that is meant to be understood as spoken within the universe. When a song is diegetic, it's often done in the form of an in-universe performance. Cartoons generally have more leeway when it comes to suspension of disbelief, so here Charlie just suddenly bursts out into songs. Our perspective changes from inside the hotel to Charlie now, and holy moly! Is Charlie descendant from Sonic the Hedgehog? She came all this way in 7 seconds, and she still has breath to sing, "There's a wild fuzzy feeling that warps through the air." And she continues to sing hell's praises while pouncing through the post-extermination chaos on the streets. This derives most of the comedy relating to Charlie, the fact that she is a Disney princess in a harsh and crass world. But through this we also learn about her best as well as her worst character trait at the same time. Charlie is relentlessly optimistic. She will pursue what she thinks is right no matter how many obstacles she's facing. However, she will do this her way without paying attention to what others who are involved might think of it. We will see this properly in action in further episodes. But first, chaos! On the right side there's a guy burning on the ground who looks like a bird of some sort, and a guy stepping on their back, sticking out their tongue, and to be honest I have no idea what they're doing there. One disemboweled body is on the ground and one praying mantis got pierced on a gate. Shocking! But the most pressing matter is, Does this stool have a face? It looks like it's having eyes and not the normal kind of furniture eyes. Or are those buttons? If those are eyes, is this a soul? And if this is a soul, does this establishment sell soul as furniture? Also, there are some flowers in a flower pot, which look a bit like claws and a bit like teeth, but most of all make me think of Ursula's enchanted garden plants from The Little Mermaid. Charlie looks through a window at two people having fun with each other in what looks like their designated playroom. The top part in this arrangement looks a bit uncomfortable when they realize Charlie's there, but honestly, you are having sex in the middle of the day on the ground floor while your curtains are wide open. Did you really expect privacy? On the other hand though, Charlie, why are you directly staring into random people's homes like a total creep? A fox/fennec person is strolling down the street holding a microphone for some reason. In the next shot though, they have lost it. Looks like they dropped the mic. Oh, trollolololol. Rufflecopter. Also, there's a raccoon in the trash, but in the next shot they have given up on the trash. Right when a newspaper reading demon tells Charlie to fuck herself as she greets him. Erika Henningsen said she felt like Happy Day in Hell was her personal Beauty and the Beast song, like her version of I Want Adventure in the Great White Somewhere. This comparison is actually pretty accurate. Both songs are first and foremost I Want songs for their respective protagonists, but secondly they introduce us to the town the narrative takes place in, and on top of that they also display the relationship between the protagonists and the town, which is pretty similar in both cases. Belle and Charlie are the odd ones out, but while Belle wants to get away from it all and have adventure in the Great White Somewhere, Charlie is adamant to change things for those who live with her for the better. And just as in Beauty and the Beast, the townsfolk join in the song, the first one being a fluffy ram singing from a burning apartment. There are other demons just chilling, as well as two sneaky demons, at least one of them a proper fluffball. Next to them is the lizard happily leaning over another corpse. Oh my god, I hope they're just looting it. Around Charlie there are figures who look like they're just waiting to join in the song, which they promptly do. A little imp declares full of glee that they have a ton of barbed wire to shove in a bigger demon's hole. The owner of said hole doesn't look particularly pleased about this prospect, but his patch does. Next comes a muscular executioner who rocks a pair of nipple pasties with stylish tassels and sings, doing what is required, we all have a role. So deep. Let's talk about this role for a second. This state, so soon after the extermination, that is the state intended by heaven for hell. It is to be held small and stagnant. There is only so much cultural and social progress a society can accomplish when it has to rebuild its foundation every year. So everyone stays in their designated spots without much possibility to change and evolve. The next two lines sung by Hell's inhabitants, I'm not doing well, and another shitty day in hell, tell us that no one is truly happy in hell, which you could have been fooled to believe otherwise by watching the pilot. The general dismissal of Charlie's ideas at face value seems to be based on the fact that no one wants to achieve redemption in the first place, because evil people thrive in a place where their evil deeds are not pursued. But now we have the first confirmation that this, for the general population at least, is not true, and we'll see more of this later with our main cast of characters. It's not contentment, but fatalism that is the reason Charlie has such a hard time selling her hotel. Power and disempowerment are themes that come up a lot in the show, so be sure to remember it, it will be on the test. Right now, in this part of the story, Charlie is the only one with enough enthusiasm and energy to go against the status quo. She evokes her mother's influence a lot when talking about her dreams, but this is primarily Lucifer's trait she adopted. I forgot to mention it in the last episode, but the narration at the start of episode 1 highlights that by doing this, Charlie runs the risk of sharing the same fate as her dad. As Hell's princess climbs onto a car, she looks onto her hotel singing, If I can show them the dream I dreamed that any soul can change. She is singing at the hotel because it is the representation of the dream she dreamed. But Veggie then, hanging from the hotel's ship's mast and singing right back to her, frames this part as almost a conversation between the two. Veggie answers, "Angels' mind are hard to change." So there's a juxtaposition of Charlie talking about changing sinners and Veggie talking about changing angels. This happens right again when Charlie wants to prove you can redeem every sinner from the evil to the strange. And Veggie coming in with, "They're bloodthirsty and deranged." While those descriptors are not 100% synonyms, mirrored like that, they ascribe the same traits to both sinners and angels. This whole sequence foreshadows two things at once. First, Veggie's real identity because she knows so intricately how angels think, and second, the realization that angels and sinners are fundamentally the same. Do you keep track of how many things this song is accomplishing? I have to admit, musically I don't like Happy Day in Hell that much, but boy do I respect it. Charlie quickly comes across two demons who you know are very cool because they wear cool beanies. They are mad at Charlie for disrupting their thing, which seems to be selling body parts, as if they are some Victorian grave robbers who sell corpses to physicians to be studied on. I kind of doubt there is much interest in scientific studies in hell anymore. Although, who knows, maybe there's an evil German scientist who is doing experiments on dead bodies. Next, there are 3 dead bodies hanging from a lamp post. Were they hanged or did they hang themselves? That's dark, she says after several massacred and gutted bodies on screen. While Charlie sings, "When I open the door and I give them a place." She opens the van's door and looks to the place she wants to give them. Yes, sometimes the lyrics are animated very literally. The driver is very dead as well, and his van, which advertises "It's all coke," is broken into. And again, I have 2 questions. Why is it still there? I would assume this guy died in the extermination, and the extermination was at least 5 days ago, since Alistair showed up 5 days ago after the extermination. So I find it highly unlikely no one claimed this coke in several days. Also, where is the packaging? Just shoveling it around seems to be a very ineffective way to distribute your drugs. Charlie hops on another van belonging to the postal service, which is called Hell of a Post. In real life, whenever you purchase official merchandise from Hazbin Hotel, it also comes with a Hell of a Post. Its signs are a letter with horns, bat wings, and an eye as ceiling, and a V in the style of a demon's head, which looks a bit like Blitz, the main character of Hazbin's sister series Hell of a Boss. As the song enters its bridge, we pass by a cool-looking fish demon. Okay, if I have to be Anglerfish Girl in hell, I want to look like this, please. The van passes a poster of a place advertised as the V-Tower, and we get a transition where we physically move to the V-Tower while Charlie's singing informs us about a few of this city's districts. From the porn studio where the cinephiles go to watch award-winning Demons Bukkake show. Next, we see those cinephiles in front of a TV shop window. From left to right, there's a rabbit who is absolutely shocked, a caterpillar who seems kind of angry, a brain in a jar who looks confused, a fluffy guy whose name is Travis, we will see him again, and he is maybe a bit too much into whatever he's seeing, and another demon who is not yet sure what to feel. We don't see what they're looking at, but if Charlie's line is correct, it's a Bukkake show, which Erika Henningsen sang before knowing what that even is. And I didn't too, so I looked it up. And now I can tell you that my face would probably look like that. Though in Japan, before this term got to be associated with something sexual, it describes food. As a verb, bukkakeru means to splash, and bukkake is used for dishes for which ingredients are poured over by broth like bukkake soba and bukkake udon. Charlie jumps off at Cannibal Town where they don't wear a frown. We see the sign telling us that indeed this is Cannibal Town, and we see that, true to its name, it's inhabited by cannibals, evidenced by 3 people who are eating a corpse on the pavement. Already we recognize that cannibals in Cannibal Town are dressed in a variation of Victorian to Edwardian fashion. But we will see Cannibal Town again, so for now let's leave it at that. We can also see in the next shot that the heavenly clock tower, as well as the building it belongs to, is situated in Cannibal Town. Now let's do a little sneak peek from episode 2, because that is where we are shown an overview shot of the town. This is Pentagram City. There's the hotel, Charlie's starting point. From there she goes here to the amusement district where the V Tower stands, and from there walks right over to Cannibal Town, where the Heavenly Embassy is located. So this district has to be Cannibal Town. Entering the final phase of the song, Charlie spins around while in the background music notes go by. Visually, this is reminiscent of the show's opening when addressing Lilith's singing, and makes another connection between Charlie and her mother. It explains why Charlie likes to convey her ideas via song, since she adopted it from Lilith and actively wants to follow her footsteps. The rest of the participants in this song also make another appearance as a background crier, including the pair with the barbed wire. The little imp is not holding any barbed wire anymore, and the big demon sings contently about the barbed wire to shove in his hole. So, did he already? All of it? It really was a ton of barbed wire. So how could this even fit? You see, this is where an evil German scientist who's researching different demons' anatomy would come in handy. The section ends with Charlie standing right in front of the embassy, so let's take a look at the embassy's architecture. The spire is another example of Art Deco style, since it's basically one-to-one taken from the Chrysler Building, a skyscraper standing in New York City, and which was finished in 1930. Heaven's Embassy has the same terraced crown with a sunray pattern. The rest of the embassy is built in an art style with the badass name Gothic Revival. It's a style that came up in the 19th century and took inspiration from the Gothic period of medieval churches. Unsurprisingly, Gothic Revival was first and foremost used for churches, but it was also popular to use for official buildings. Heaven's Embassy shows staples of Gothic Revival like high spires, pointed arches, crosses, and statues as ornaments. It's not only similar to churches built in that style, like for example the Trinity Church in Manhattan, but also bears a great resemblance to Parliament buildings like the one in Ottawa, Canada, and the Palace of Westminster in London. Yes, it turns out that when I called Heaven's Clock Tower an evil Elizabeth Tower last time, it was clever foreshadowing on my part. Please clap. This tower, though, is an hourglass as well as a clock tower because it counts down the days until the next extermination. At this moment, there are still 358 days left. Weirdly, though, when Charlie transitions out of her musical sheet in front of Heaven's Embassy, the demons who started this journey with her in front of the hotel transition together with her to the embassy, because the whole background choir is here. And this fishy guy. Barbed wire couple is chilling while this demon, who I will call Pumpkin Dude, is propositioned by a horny, hairy demon. But they just want to hang out with their buddy and be shot by their buddy, while a bunny is assaulted by a lizard with a baseball bat. Charlie has to fend off one sluggy exhibitionist before she can finally sing the last note of her song to the rapid succession of shots of people we have seen, like Baggy and the cannibals. We also take a last look of the TV shop window, which is much more crowded now. The newly arrived demons include one overall rocking one who looks very well entertained, and one who unfortunately lost most of their shirt. From our recurring cast of characters, the right one seems to be finally done with this. Travis is still very much into this. The brain went from confusion to, alright. The caterpillar is still angry, and the bunny, I think might be broken. The song Happy Day in Hell was the first thing Erika Henningsen ever recorded as Charlie. She didn't know Vivsi or the team before, which already makes you understandably feel a bit nervous. And then they told her that this song would be the first material from the show they release. The first piece of media anyone will see. The very first impression people get. The thing that will make them decide if they want to watch the whole show. Are you good, Erika? But she basically did a perfect job on the first take, even though by the last note she ran out of breath. So she crawled at the wall next to her, trying to hold the note, and she did it. Clap, clap. Charlie nervously opens the door and enters the embassy's empty lobby. We have a crass opposition between the loud and lively hellscape outside and the eerie silence Charlie meets in here. It's purposely arranged to look like the inside of a church. The visitor walks towards an altar-like table, positioned in front of a triptych, showing what looks like heaven letting hell burn with their rains of destruction. On the wall we have the same sculptures we've seen on the building outside. Now from this angle we recognize them as depictions of exorcist angels. The sofas lined up in the lobby have a curved frame in the style of, yet again, 1920s Art Deco furniture. As Charlie rings the bell, a form appears in front of her, asking her to sign in. And Charlie immediately takes the writing feather and signs the form without reading it. You're a businesswoman, Charlie. Read your contracts before you sign them. An elevator brings her to another room, where she enters pitch-black darkness before the light goes on and reveals two angels sitting at a conference room table. The meeting room is held in blues and gold as a contrast to the red color palette that is used for hell. The embassy's lobby's primary color is a dark violet, the marriage of red and blue. It is the gateway where Charlie leaves hell to momentarily enter the angel's domain. The guy greets Charlie by immediately trolling her, pretending he's present with her when he's just a hologram, while his real body is staying in heaven, where it's not such a bummer and blech like in hell. Still, somehow he is able to touch Charlie despite not even physically being in the same room as her. It hints at the fact that this dude is more powerful than his stupid dog persona might suggest. He cements himself as a childish prick right after, when he pranks Charlie with the same trick twice in a row because the ribs he offers for Charlie to eat aren't here either. Yeah, I totally believe that this guy would sit in pitch black darkness just to prank someone. Charlie doesn't know it yet, but this is Adam, the exorcist's leader and first man. We have already seen him in the beginning's narration. It took an embarrassing amount of rewatches for me to get the joke that Adam is offering Charlie ribs. But then I wondered, why was it even a rib that Eve was made out of in Genesis? And it turns out it might not be a rib at all. There's a theory by Professor Zioni Zevid that instead of a rib, it's actually Adam's penis. Let me explain. As Zevid puts it, the misinterpretation that Eve was made out of Adam's rib comes from a translation error. Because translating ancient dead languages is hard. Who would have thunk? The Hebrew word tzela is usually used in the Bible to describe something off the center or on the side. So in relation to the human body, it was interpreted to describe something on the side of the spine, aka a rib. But of course, something off the body center could very well be an extremity instead. A certain special extremity. Because isn't it weird that the male genitalia can rise to the occasion without having a bone? Especially since there are other mammals who have a penis bone. According to Zevid, there are indeed ancient cultures who we know ask this exact question. So he argues that the Bible used the first woman's creation to explain this missing human penis bone. Actually, I really like this theory. I don't care what the real answer is here. I think this makes way more sense, and it's funnier. Ribs are boring. We cut back to the hotel, where Veggie has gathered the gang. Alistair is his usual smiley self. Husk is super pissed because Angel can't stop making googly eyes at him, and Nifty is sitting between them as a spacer. like a student who was seated by the teacher between two people who were more interested in each other than the lesson. Which never works because it doesn't stop those people from distracting each other and only manages to also distract the person in between. I was the person in between. Maggie's plan is to make a new commercial while Charlie is away. And first, of course, they need a camera. Alistair. He snaps and a photo camera appears, accompanied by green lightning and little flowing skulls. This is a so-called accordion camera or folding camera. It was a popular type of photo camera from around 1900 to the 1940s. As the name suggests, you could fold it together and close it with this flap for easy transportation. If I understood correctly, folding out was necessary in the first place because at that time there had to be a certain distance between lens and film for pictures to be in focus. Alistair relents and magics a proper video camera for Vaggie to use, although it seems to be a bit roughed up, judging by the patching it has received like sellotape and band-aid. Unfortunately, he brings her a modern video camera this time, and not again a relic from the 1920s. With the invention of 16mm in 1923, the era of home video recording had arrived, and companies immediately started manufacturing small cameras for this exact purpose. The prettiest among them is the Filmo 75, which the company Bell & Howard launched in 1928. If I were Alistair, I would have conjured up one of those. It would have been a Gwenny would buy this number too, but no. In the next scene, we see through the camera screen at Angel and Husk sitting at the bar, while Vaggie is filming. Angel is in his element, looking completely content, while Husk doesn't want to be here at all. Vaggie says, "Action!" and Angel and Husk play the scene. Husk buries his face in the text and reads, "Welcome to the Hazbin Hotel. Can I help you with anything?" To that Angel purrs, "I've been a bad boy and I need a big, strong daddy to put me in my place. On the path to redemption." Now, the next thing Husk wanted to say is, "You come to the right place." But halfway, he's interrupted by Angel moaning, "Oh yes!" playing on the double meaning of the word come. Since this is a wordplay, why don't we dissect how other languages handle this joke? German simply does the same joke using the word come. In French for France, Husk says, "Knock at our door," and plays on the double meaning of the word frapper, which can mean knock as well as spank. In Portuguese he says, "You can enter our hotel," to which Angel moans, "Enter me?" Spain's Spanish uses the word poner, which translates to both put, place, and turn on, to which Angel replies, "It turns me on." And Latin American Spanish uses the word acabar to finish, to which Angel says, "Yes, make me finish." Japan has it a little less easy because Japanese syntax doesn't work in the same way the aforementioned languages do. The verb comes at the end of the sentence, so here Husk isn't interrupted after a verb, but the noun okiakusama. This is how you are addressed as a customer in Japan. Whenever you are in a shop or a restaurant, you will be called okiakusama. The joke here stems from the fact that this word, apart from its ordinary usage, can also reference servitude in a sexual way. Vaggie screams "cut!" because she needs Angel to be less horny if possible, and Husk to not have the script right in front of his face. Husk complained that he is no actor and he can't memorize this shit. Angel suggests a solution, saying, "We could improv this shit, baby cakes." Italian slips one joke more into this exchange. Husk says, "I might be almost a cat, but I'm a dog at acting." And in Italian, to be a dog is an expression for being bad at something. Contrary to what Vaggie demanded, the Hindi localizers took the original English scene and said to themselves, "But what if we make it more horny?" And not even the sex joke itself, but everything else. According to YouTube commenter Sokriti7213, this is how it plays out in Hindi. Order me, what shall I do for you? Don't think too much, my wild horse. Do what you want to me. Break me, twist me, break the bed. Show me the fire of heaven. After Veggie, in this version rightfully, asked them to tone the fuck down already, this follows. I'm no actor. These lines won't just climb into my mouth. So what if the lines won't do it? I'm here for you to climb and unclimb. Hindi! Hindi, calm down! And yes, I have now listened to Angel moan in 12 different languages. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Canonically, by the way, Husk can fluently speak 7 languages, which incidentally is also one of my life goals, speaking 7 languages fluently. The languages he speaks are English, Italian, Russian, German, Mandarin Chinese, Spanish, and Japanese. If Husk would be a cat in regards to his eyes, holding the script right in front of his face would have the opposite effect, because cats are farsighted. They literally won't see anything right under their noses unless it moves. Not to mention that cats are not able to read anyway. And I don't mean in the way that they don't know what words mean, but they can't distinguish individual letters from each other. Husk is apparently able to read, so we don't need to worry for his eyes. Except that when he needs text this close to read it, he should probably think about reading glasses. And that is also good news in another regard, because since cats' eyes can't perceive the colors red, orange and pink, for Husk, hell would be a Tim Burton movie. And Angel Beetlejuice. A scene change takes us back to Charlie and Adam. The latter is telling an anecdote from his life in which he tried to seduce a woman who was more into a drama than him, to Adam's absolute abhorrence. You think you want drama, Dick? No way, he yells. His still unnamed assisting angel shakes her head in silent agreement. No, you don't want drama, Dick. Ew. But it did end well, as he says, and we fucked and it was awesome. What you do this weekend? Dude, that's your ex-wife's daughter. Charlie is visibly annoyed with him, but she picks up on some interesting information nonetheless. The fact that this guy is Adam, first man, the original Dick. It's a light bulb moment for Charlie as she mumbles, "That explains so much." And it does. Being the first and therefore by default most important man on the planet has made Adam into the ultimate narcissist. And to her credit, Charlie is quick to exploit his egomania when she is pitching her idea to him and baits him with the promise of being able to put his name on something. At first, it seems like Adam is taking the bait when he reacts very excited to this proposition. But will it be really this easy for Charlie? Well, to find out, you would have to watch the episode. But let's pretend you can't do that. To find out, we'll have to wait for next time. Because with that, it has been 7 minutes again. Woo! Number 2 down. The fuck ton left to do. Question for today. Let's make it a basic one. Top 3 favorite characters. I go first. Husk, Angel, Difty. And now you. And we will see each other again in the next one. Toodaloo! Quack. Quack. One disembodied body. But this is primary? That's primarily. Yeah. Oh, my foot is sleeping.